I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. May I have roll call, please?
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Next item is approval of agenda. Approval of agenda. Are there any comments or questions on tonight's agenda? Anybody? Okay. Hearing none, the agenda will stand as presented. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Minutes of the special meeting of May 8th, 2024, and minutes of the regular meeting of May 28th, 2024. Approval of bill listed dated June 7th, 2024, and payroll ledger dated May 31st, 2024. Consideration of resolution number 28-4 series of 2024, a resolution making appointments to the Parks, Recreation, Arts, and Cemetery Committee. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I think we have Vincent. Do we have Vincent? Oh, Vincent, welcome. Vincent is our newest member on Parks and Rec. So I just wanted to welcome you, Vincent. All right, so now we have citizen comments. Citizens are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Council will take comments into consideration, but will not make any decisions at this time. Council will not engage in back and forth dialogue, but may respond to a speaker with a brief factual information or refer the speaker to the town manager to arrange a meeting with an appropriate staff member for the discussion of the speaker's topic at an appropriate time. However, the council has no obligation to engage with the speaker by either of the following methods or at all. And I'm going to have Rachel do the timer, or council member Tyne. Are there any citizens that would like to make a comment? So we have first up, Dustin Hendorf. And could you please state your name and address? Dustin?
I'm Dustin Hindorf. I live in 75 Beaver Court, Dillon Valley. I'm here to talk about the Dillon Community Church using the amphitheater for their summer. And one thing is, I feel like we should keep this is because it only brings good to our community, because the church does so much, brings so much good back to the community, and there's no, that is not a reason for the community to take it away, is because they're bringing stuff back to the community. And Scout motto is do a good turn daily, and that's what this church does for our community. And so by allowing the church to continue doing this, it would be us thanking them for all that they've done for our community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, next up we have Jim Howard. You would please state your.
Jim Howard, 355 East Levante, Dillon. You all know I'm senior pastor at Dillon Community Church. So I don't have a lot to say. I just want to say just a couple things. Our staff has read this, and on behalf of the staff and elders, we are very sad. You know, our church started in 1912, and we're very sad. We're not attorneys, so we just read it and we discussed it, that the it feels like the policy is cutting out all the small people. I'm not sad for us. We're big folks. We can handle it. But I think of all the small people that when I walk over there, the people that have the dance thing over there and the yoga people. And if I read this policy correctly, you just managed to cut them all out. I don't understand it. None of us do. And that was a deep sadness that we felt. I just wanted you to know how we felt as a church leadership.
Thank you, Jim. Next up is Stephen Hill. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Stephen Hill, and I live in Silverthorne, 1683 Falcon Circle. In public speaking, you always have to think about who you're following. I don't mind following Jim, but Dustin, now that's another matter. That's a hard act to follow. So thank you, Dustin. I have lived in the county for about 30 years, and I've gone to Dillon Church all of that time. I've also served in administrative capacity and local government for most of that time. So I appreciate the difficulty that council has in making these sorts of decisions. And this is just one of dozens of decisions that you have. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the difficulty of trying to develop a policy that meets all the myriad needs of all of the community, that addresses staff's concerns. I understand the staff's concerns of wanting to make sure that you have a fair and equitable and a policy that can be reasonably administered. I think the policy that's before you is that. I don't know if it's the best policy that you have in furthering the interests of the overall community. I see that staff has outlined some of the policy goals that this supports, including a thriving and vital community and having a welcoming and responsive place to live. I can't help but think that by cutting out churches, by cutting out nonprofits, by cutting out other groups that would really like to use this very beautiful facility and add vitality and community to this great place that we live, that would be a better approach. I would imagine that Dillon Church, along with other nonprofit and other governmental uses, would probably be willing to work with you to help craft a policy that meets your needs at the same time. Maybe is a little bit more welcoming and promoting a thriving and vital community. And I think I'm under my 5. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Vince? Vince? Oh, would you like to give a public comment? Okay, Robert Vanderkoo? Oh, all right then. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And your comments are well heard. Sure.
If you're down with
Sean Butson, do you want to go up to the podium and state your name and address and go for it? I'll help you.
Hi, my name's Sean Butson. I live at 101 Gold Run Circle in Dillon, and my comments are not going to be nearly as diplomatic as Steve's. But I'm not a church official, so I have kind of free will here. Dear esteemed town council members, I'm speaking tonight to ask you to vote no on resolution number 30-24. As I understand it, this resolution would prohibit all private rentals of the amphitheater, including longtime renters. One such renter, the Dillon Community Church, has been using the amphitheater for over 40 years, and I'm told anecdotally from town staff that they are the best renter of all of them, including town-sponsored events in terms of security, cleanliness, etc. Not only that, but Dillon Community Church does many other things for the community that you may or may not be aware of. I'm going to list a few of them here for you. They pay rent to the facility, which is pure profit to the town because there are no extra costs for security, fencing, or vending like there are at many town-sponsored events. They pay for town tech help, which puts money into the pockets of locals. They bring hundreds of visitors to the amphitheater that spend money in town. The church hosts the town holiday festival every year, which is typically attended by over 600 people. They share the cost of the luncheon for our own town cleanup day, which just happened, and they do all of the serving and cooking. The church gives out 4,000 meals and over $100,000 to the poor each year. I'm gonna read that again. Church gives out 4,000 meals and over $100,000 to the poor every year. They host funerals, so locals at their own, the church at their own expense, so that locals can honor their loved ones. They work collaboratively with the local agency partners, including police, emergency services, mental health, sheriff's department, for people in crisis or need. The church financially supports Timberline Adult Day Services and advocates for victims of assault. The church arranges for and pays for mental health and family counseling, provides facilities for Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, AA, and other community agencies. The church allows free parking at all town events. I'm not sure everyone knew that. I know parking's a problem. The church serves the children in our community through large events like Trunk or Treat and Vacation Bible School that's going on this week. There are hundreds of kids in there every morning this week. It's all free. The church provides adult education for our community through all kinds of courses. I could go on, but I think you get the picture. In short, Dillon Community Church directly supports the town and its people and asks nothing in return. Nothing. Why we would want to kick them out of the amphitheater is beyond me. Further, denying private rentals for a facility that loses money makes no financial sense. If the town wants to rent out the amphitheater to other responsible parties in addition to Dillon Community Church, or needs to do so for legal reasons, so be it. But to shut down the use to everyone is a solution in search of a problem. Accordingly, I implore you to vote no on this very misguided resolution. And I also invite all of you to join us this Sunday at Dillon Community Church. Our service is scheduled for 371 Labonte, but I'm hoping at the end of this meeting, it'll be at the amphitheater. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for your public comment. The next item on the agenda is consideration of ordinance number 324. Oh, did I miss someone?
One comment.
Sure.
Okay.
State your name and add.
My name is Jay Ufer. I live at 1525 Legend Lake Circle and also down in Denver. I drove up from Denver tonight to support the continued use of the amphitheater by Dillon Community Church. I recommend the town council amend the wording of this ordinance to include town-sponsored or produced events or such organizations approved annually for usage of the amphitheater as approved by the Executive Director of Parks and Rec or the Town Council, as which are consistent and congruent with the mission, vision, and comprehensive plan of the town of Dillon. I understand the need for a system and ordinance to protect the town legally and financially. I would suggest that a non-denominational Sunday morning church service, of which at least 40 to 50% of attendees in the summer are visitors to this county, kind of is consistent and congruent with that mission and vision. So I would encourage the council to retain your discretion and your decision-making capability on an annual basis, but still protect the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments before I go on? Okay. Please state your name and address for the.
My name is Roman Moore. I live at 105 Straight Creek Drive in Dillon Valley. And I moved up here from Denver 17 and a half years ago. One of the nice things I love about living in the community is its sense of community. And that's something that those Sunday mornings at the amphitheater always provided. And having gone there and talked to people who were visitors, not a single one had anything but good things to say about the fact that the town of Dillon provided that for Sunday morning services. Visitors, not people that live here or go to Dillon Community Church. They were the ones, those visitors, that saw the value in that. And hopefully you'll see the value in that too, to continue that. It's been a long tradition, over 40 years. I think of traditions like that, like the Easter sunrise service at Red Rocks. This is kind of our tradition in a way. Like to see that continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. For consideration of ordinance number 324, series of 2024. Second reading and public hearing. An ordinance amending chapter 13 and 19 of the Dillon Municipal Code regarding monthly water charges for the workforce housing projects located outside the corporate limits of the town. I will now open the public hearing on the following ordinance number 324, series of 24, and the time is 7:15. Do I need to? Ned will present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a very basic ordinance, which we have discussed several times. The town did enter into an IGA, intergovernmental agreement with Summit County on April 9th of 2024 to support the workforce housing project proposed up there on County Road 51 near the Town of Dillon water plant. We then discussed this ordinance in work session May 28th, and then first reading was just the most recent meeting on June 11th. This ordinance would amend the Dillon Municipal Code, chapters 13 and 19, to reflect a flexibility in the out-of-town water service bill rate for workforce housing projects. The code currently states that out-of-town water service is double the rate of in-town water service fees. And this ordinance will allow for in-town rates for workforce housing associated projects. So given that, town staff does recommend approval of ordinance number 03-24, series of 2024. And happy to answer any questions you may have and welcome any public comment as well.
So we're going to open up to public comment portion of the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to give a comment or regarding this ordinance in the audience? Stating there are no persons that are testifying. Then does council have any questions? Ed? Ready? Well, I know we agreed to this before with the County Road 51, and this was a part of our agreement with this affordable housing project that's going to take place. So
That's correct. It was part of the actual IGA. This formalizes the capacity to be able to do.
which also we had the roundabouts in there too, right? That was also part of the IGA. This is one thing we were giving back to them with them partnering
They
on
are
this
part
for
of-
that.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. So I will now close the public hearing, and council members will deliberate on the proposed ordinance as presented. During deliberations, council members may ask questions of town staff, but no further public comment or any other testimony or evidence will be received. Who would like to begin? I don't know if we have anybody more comments?
It's just a final step.
Just the final step. Okay. All right. So I will close the public at 7:20. Okay. Then. Okay, so there wasn't any deliberations or
You
consideration.
want to just call for a motion
Oh.
on the ordinance?
Oh, okay, can I do that? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the ordinance number 324, series of 2024?
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor by council and a second to approve ordinance number 3/2024. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of resolution number 29 to 24, series of 2024. A resolution approving a contract with Mead and Hunt Incorporated for the 2024 roundabout final design project. Are you back up? Or who is up? Scott
Dan's coming up.
or Dan?
He was nice enough to give up his seat.
All right, Dan.
So Adrian's going to put up a map of the roundabouts. It occurs to me that we have two new council members and maybe you haven't seen that before. So we've been working on this for 3 years. And in order to support the Forest Service housing project, the extra 100 traffic associated with the 165 new units up there, we needed to come up with a traffic solution. Sorry, I didn't catch my bad breath. I actually ran up the stairs. So the best solution was to get rid of the County Route 51 leg at the left intersection at Lake Dillon Drive. Right now, everybody knows it's kind of difficult when if you try to come off County Road 51, if you went up to the Tenderfoot Trail, it's really difficult to turn left and to traffic sometimes today, especially when school gets out. So by removing the County Road 51 traffic from the Lake Dillon Drive intersection, it greatly will enhance the flow of traffic at the Lake Dillon Drive intersection. So you'll just have the traffic from Dillon Valley on the north, Town of Dillon on the south, and the two east and west highway movements. And so over to the right, about 1,200 feet away, is a second roundabout. We call it the housing roundabout. And that just has 3 legs. It has the 2 legs for Highway 6, westbound, eastbound. And then it has a new leg that comes up and then goes up the hill for the housing project in County Road 51. It serves the shops, it serves the water plant, it serves the rest of County 51 that goes all the way up to the diversion at Straight Creek. And so the county and the town of Dillon have been working on this jointly for about 3 years. We did an RFP originally, and Mead and Hunt was the firm that was selected to do that. Let's see. I think in the contract, so this is the final thing. So the IGA is what I was thinking about. So we signed an IGA with the county, and they agreed to pay for half the design cost of the Lake Dillon Drive roundabout and half the cost of the housing roundabout, and the town's going to pay the other half for both of those roundabouts. And then the county will make a contribution to the construction of the Lake Dillon roundabout, and the county will construct the housing roundabout 100% on their own. Based on the conversations we've had, we intend on trying to get some grant money somehow, and it's a whole different path down at CDOT. If we use grant money, we have to do all the biological assessments and environmental reports in order to get all of that approved. So I listed those in my staff summary, but there's like 8 or 9 reports that we have to do, from archaeological investigations to endangered species and all that stuff. But if we go down this path, we do all those studies, then we have the ability to get federal grant money. And the state's money is usually federal grant money, so it's kind of one and the same. So anyway, so the contract amounts around $650,000 to do everything. It includes some additional surveying, additional geotechnical work, a design report for the pavement, everything CDOT requires in order to do a major intersection project within their right of way. There's all the utility work, all the construction drawings. There'll be several. They listed the different levels of reviews. I think there's 3 of them they have to do with CDOT, and we'll bring back final designs to you. So, you know, they did some preliminary surveying and they kind of laid it out, but now when they go into the final design, they'll fine tune everything. One of the things that we have to do is with the Lord of the Mountain Church, their driveway comes in right off Evergreen Road and right across from County Road 51. And we're going to move their entrance down to Piney Acre Circle. Right now, the way they've designed it, we're actually able to do that inside the right of way that the town and the county own. And so we've been working with the church over the years to get this done. They would give us an easement so far based on what they know if we needed one. But I think when they redid this particular design, they got rid of that need. And you can see how the roundabout sits in the Lake Dillon Drive intersection. It kind of pushes south towards the town center and off to the east a little bit to kind of draw the roundabout, the intersection away from where it is now in order to make the hill on Evergreen Road work better. And you can see that the limits on the south side, on the Lake Dillon Drive south side, kind of go down to where about Tenderfoot Street takes off to the east. There really isn't much more to it than that. It's just, I mean, it sounds expensive, but we're probably looking at a, $7 to $8 million construction cost for this. Part of the coordination, part of the, I just say difficulty is that the county's selected a different consultant last minute, to kind of do theirs. So they've hired Kimley Horn to do the other roundabout. And so there'll be some coordination between the two consultants. So it's just not one package. That's just kind of where we ended up. But we'd like to continue on with Mead and Hunt because they did a pretty good job and they understand that. One of the big things too is that we need to do a new traffic study. The traffic study we did previously was, I think, the 2030 or 2035 projected traffic volumes. Now that the CDOT has 2040 projections, that's the year 2040. We're going to update the traffic study. And when we do that, we'll update the Lake Dillon Drive light to support all the potential development in the town center. And that would include Uptown 240, the approved projects like the branded residential. Plus, we would plan on probably building 500 to 600 housing units in the town center. If, between Uptown 240, the branded residential, that's 280. And we anticipate that we probably build another 300 or so. And we have to put that growth somewhere. Again, when we do those analyses, we make sure that we have the water and sewer to support that development, and then we need to put it somewhere. So that this traffic study will be nice because it'll put all that traffic volume at that leg and see if it still functions adequately with another 600 homes, affordable homes, regular homes in the town center. That's about it. Any other questions? And it's a long process. There's a lot of work to do. They'll do more surveying, more geotechnical work this summer, and they plan to be done about April next year. 100% approved, and then we can talk about funding and bidding it. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. Does council have any discussion that you guys want to discuss? Questions or Nathan?
One thing I'd like to add is that the funding for this roundabout study or the completion of this is going to come out of the Housing 5A funds because the workforce housing project at County Road 51 necessitated this development and this improvement, both roundabouts. Just
Okay.
wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's great to clarify. So does the town staff recommend awarding the contract to Mead and Hunt? This is basically to complete their design effort for the project in the amount of 650. That's what this ordinance is, right? 650,440, which comes out of 5A money, correct?
Correct. Housing 5A.
Housing 5A. Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I would say I'm not excited about the crosswalk that goes on the smaller roundabout that runs along the highway between the two roundabouts.
The sidewalk?
On the south side.
Oh, the crosswalk or the sidewalk? The actual crosswalk at the intersection?
The crosswalk at the smaller roundabout that goes to the south side of the highway
Okay.
with the sidewalk that runs parallel to the highway for the distance to the next roundabout. Seems like that crosswalk could be removed and that sidewalk instead of, I
Okay.
mean, it's going to the same place as the other one. Why have two crosswalks?
Well, I just think it's naturally people will cross there. I lived on Forest Canyon my first year up here, and I'd walk to this point where the two roads meet, and I'd cross the highway and walk on the other side. But I mean, I think those are things that we can consider, from a funding standpoint. Maybe we don't have enough money to do that, but I do believe that people will do that naturally. I did.
So it's better to be safe than sorry, though, to have both crosswalks, right?
Yeah.
Dan,
I think-
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Will there be the sound wall study done completely on the south side of, around the corner past the second roundabout?
Those are some of the coordination deals with the details with the county we need to work out. But I don't know. I think once we understand the cost of that, then we can talk about whether or not it includes two. I think the main thing the sound wall study does, it basically looks at the existing conditions and the traffic volume and noise, and we'll compare that to the roundabout. And it could be that what they call a FONSI, finding of no significant impact. But we just want to do the study to find out, what that looks like. So if we do that, then, it probably is similar to the other one, but I don't know I don't know what the county hired Kimley Horn to look at. So, but we can certainly add that to ours because it's, that's one of the impacts to our community that we wanted to study. So we can get with the consultant and find out once we get that proposal and make sure it goes to the second roundabout. And then there might be a cost increase, but I don't think it'd be, significant.
I'm happy for both roundabouts and just slow down the traffic. So, all right, any other comments or questions? Okay, I entertain a motion for consideration of resolution number 29-24 series of 2024.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, the next
Thank you.
item on the agenda is consideration of resolution number 30-24 series of 2024. A resolution adopting a use policy for the Dillon Amphitheater. So who's presenting this?
I can start, sure. The resolution in front of you tonight is a resolution adopting the use policy for the Dillon Amphitheater. This policy has been discussed over the last 2 months. And as recently as May 28th and May 14th in executive session where no decisions were made. But based off of that discussion and legal advice during those sessions, we have drafted this amphitheater use policy for your consideration tonight. I'll turn it over to Jesse or Kathleen if they have anything additional to add.
The only thing I would add is, as Nathan mentioned, we've met twice in executive session. Those discussions are confidential, attorney-client privileged. The policy before you in the packet does meet the legal requirements that are applicable to government-owned facilities. And just recommend you consider adopting a policy so that your staff has some guidelines in administering the use of the amphitheater.
Okay.
Are you able to,
What-
I'm
wait,
sorry, are you able to, go ahead.
Can you just wait a minute? Okay.
Sure.
So why don't we open this up for discussion? I think there's a lot of people that want to talk about this.
Go first.
Huh? Would you like to go first, Kyle?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask Kathleen if you're able to talk about the legal ramifications of it all, just so the public can understand maybe a little bit better as to why we're looking at this and trying to make the right decision.
So if it's acceptable to the council as a whole, I'm happy to make some very high level comments about what the US Constitution requires of government facilities.
I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay,
go ahead.
great. So the US Constitution has in one of the amendments, the Establishment Clause. And the Establishment Clause essentially says that government cannot support, promote, or become overly intertwined with religious activities. The use of the amphitheater, because it is owned by the town of Dillon, is subject to the Establishment Clause. And that is something that, I urge you to take into consideration when you think about uses of the amphitheater and policies that will be provided to your staff to help them make decisions with regard to the amphitheater.
Okay, are you done?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay. Does anyone,
I have some comments to make.
okay, so why don't we start with Dana?
Okay, so this issue was raised by Jessie, our events coordinator. She, brought to council's attention that other parties had been interested in using the amphitheater or had complained about Dillon Community Church using the amphitheater. In order to better understand the magnitude of that problem, can you share some of the organizations that did express an interest or express concern?
It's a number of various organizations and private entities as well. So we've had everyone from corporations to couples who want to get married there, a Native American group who wanted to have a kind of a reunion of their organization, a nonprofit that wanted to have a fundraiser there, schools that want to have graduations there. So yeah, a number of different types of organization and private entities that have asked to rent the amphitheater.
Yeah. So my assessment of how we came up with this bad policy, which I think we all agree is a bad policy, it was a choice between two bad options, and we tried to choose the least bad option. Since we had those executive sessions, some new information has come to light, and there are some precedents for churches using town-owned facilities in Breckenridge. Great Divide Church has met at Colorado Mountain College since 2016. Father Dyer Church has met at the Eclipse Theater, which is a Breck-owned facility that continues to meet there. John, you want to share your discussion with Deacon Jim from last Sunday about the Riverwalk Center?
Sure. So I reached out to Deacon Jim Doyle. If everyone knows him, he's been here forever. So he's involved in the Catholic Church over there. And I knew that the Catholic Church had rented every year the Breck Riverwalk Center. And I asked him, how do you go about doing that? Do you have to jump through hoops? And he just told me that it's pretty simple, and the charge was $500 each time they rented the Riverwalk Center, which included the sound system. Do you want me to continue about that?
No, I think that's enough. And, you know, after John shared that information with me, I reached out to Tamara Park, who's the president and CEO of Breck Create, which manages the Riverwalk Center. And I said, how do you handle nonprofits and churches using your facility? And she explained it to me. They enable users through an application process, and they have in-kind use grants for facilities like the Riverwalk that are subsidized for nonprofits. And I asked her to send me their policy, and she did. And, you know, with some minor tweaks, this would work for the Dillon Amphitheater. And the criteria for selecting who gets to choose the dates for the Riverwalk Center is, you know, to what degree does the purpose of the organization and event align with the town's priority investments and strategies? To what degree does the event align with the events committee's strategic goals? Does the organization demonstrate sound financial management practices? Does the organization have the capability to run a successful event? Does the organization demonstrate past success, and to what degree does the application benefit our community? So they have a policy and they have criteria, and what they do is they basically have an in-kind facility usage program which subsidizes the cost of the facility for nonprofits who mostly can't afford to pay a lot of money to use those facilities. And they've used this process successfully for a decade. And I'm just wondering why we can't implement something like this, which gives us a systematic process that's open to every nonprofit, every church. And it gives us criteria, published criteria to evaluate the merits of that organization. And it seems like they've been doing it successfully for 10 years. Why can't we adopt something similar? So I would encourage us all to vote no on the resolution tonight, so we can go back to the drawing board and look at this. And John Woods also came up with the kind of a similar policy. So I think we have some new information, and we have some solutions, and we have some precedents of the town of Breckenridge doing exactly what we want to do. So I would encourage us all to vote no on the resolution.
Okay, who would like to go next? I mean, I'll go next. Go ahead. All right, I just, I'm not in favor of this resolution at all. I think 42 years and everything that they do, there has to be another policy. Even, I don't even care if we open it up to everyone, but they have I mean, they give so much, like you heard all the public comments. I mean, it's not just about a religion, it's about servicing the community. And this is a time where we're redeveloping our town here and we need to provide community, a sense of community. And there are visitors that come up and I know legally I do want to protect the town, absolutely. But I would be in favor of opening it up to everyone, although they should be grandfathered in. I mean, they've been using our facility for so many years. And then to pull the rug out from under them, I just do not agree with that. I think there has to be a policy we can come up where, you know, if they have to like get on a wait or they're on the list. I mean, I think the problem is that we can't let churches and not other nonprofits. So I would rather have everyone have access with protocols and procedures in place than to tell the Dillon Community Church, which by the way, not just Christians, there's Jewish people, there's non-people that don't even believe. They all come to this church and it brings visitors to the town. So I 100% agree with everyone that gave public comment. So I am not for this. I am just not for this ordinance. And I think we could come up with a better policy so that they can continue. And if we want people to do weddings, or if we want other nonprofits, or if we want a synagogue to be there, you know, people have to get on a list. But they've been doing this for so long. So I feel very strongly about this. And yes, I want to protect the town. Absolutely. I don't, you know, from, you know, from any legalities, but I also feel very strongly. And it's not because, you know, I go to different churches. It's not because I'm you know, just go to this church. I'm not biased. I just think I know since I've lived here since 2004, this has been going on for years and people come up from Denver. And so we would be hurting our community. We'd be hurting people. This would not give, how do I say this? It just wouldn't be a great thing for us to approve this ordinance. And I'm done. John.
I said like a month ago when you first spoke, I said that it's all about the legal liability that we're worried about. And we're all saying, I said at the time, if we can find a way to do this without legal liability, then we'll find a way. So since that last executive session, I put some time into it and I did put on my lawyer hat. I'm not a lawyer. Thinking how could we take the motion out of this and just do it in a way that's legal? And so I created this policy. I talked to the pastor about it this morning, explained it to him. The policy that I created was acceptable to him. And basically if you follow the rules, anybody can book the amphitheater. There's rules, but anybody can book so that if it's fair to all, that pretty much defeats the liability of preferential treatment. And we can do that by instituting a 1 year in advance sign up, first come, first serve. So the church has to be first, 1 year in advance, if they want it. Or if somebody else is first, then maybe they get the thing to request the date. So I call it policy to allow tax-exempt organizations to request the usage of Dillon Amphitheater. And I ran it by Oliver, who's our lawyer, who will comment next, but I think that it works. But to do the next step, we're gonna have to work on that to craft it, to fill out the numbers. So I will vote no tonight to give us time to craft something that does work, in my belief.
Like to go next.
Sure. Thank
Councilmember
you.
Luck.
I appreciate everybody coming out this evening. So I'll say a couple of things. One, I do agree that this group, council, needs to provide guidance to staff. In a sense, we're a victim of our own success because the amphitheater is fantastic. It's a beautiful venue. People, you know, love to come up and watch shows and do all sorts of things, but it's not the venue that it was 10 years ago when we could all walk up and do our own little homemade production. So we're a victim of our own success. It's a marvelous venue. So we clearly need a policy. I think the Breckenridge policy is adequate. I would argue, though, that we cannot provide discretion to our staff to make decisions about what groups may or may not align with the mission of the town of Dillon. That's a tough thing to answer. And there are a lot of groups that I'm sure would be very willing to use it. So I've read John's proposal, which he drafted on his own, not being a lawyer, so it made sense. And it was easy to comprehend. And ultimately, I think the best way to go about this is, and I will vote no, because I think we can craft something that'll satisfy the larger needs of the entire community. But I think what we will see, and I think we all have to be prepared for this, is a lot of usage of the amphitheater. And there'll be complaints from those folks that live within earshot of the amphitheater. Let's just prepare for that. Because there'll be requests for a empty Tuesday evening or Thursday afternoon or whatever it may be. That's fine. The amphitheater should be used. It's a public venue. We are still carrying as a town $3.5 million of debt on the amphitheater. 4. So, you know, the more events, the more concessions that are sold, et cetera, the better off the town will be. But we will, I think, not be in a good position if we give staff discretion. And that's not a disrespect to staff. Those are hard issues. On the face of it, we need a document, a policy that does not favor any particular church, any particular nonprofit. If it's a 501c3 registered by the Internal Revenue Service, then they want to follow the protocols, then they should be able to book it with the appropriate fees. So I would vote no. And very much like John, I think we can craft a policy that's going to eventually satisfy mostly everybody. Let's just say that.
Thank you, Councilmember Luck. Okay, Councilmember Tyne.
So thanks everybody for coming. And thank you to my fellow council members for doing some legwork and research on this issue. It does sound like we have some options and solutions, and we have some guidance from other towns that are doing similar things with their town-owned facilities. So we have a lot more information than we had a couple weeks ago. So I appreciate all the time that's been put into that, and I appreciate all of you for coming.
Okay, Councilmember Hendricks.
All right. Can't get any more sensitive than religion. Perhaps we can come up with a better policy. We've tried to, and it didn't go anywhere. I'm fine to keep discussing it, keep talking about it, come up with something that we're all more comfortable with. I do not want to see events happening every day of the week. I don't think the public wants to see that. I think it's very important to not overuse the amphitheater. If we're opening it up to any non-denominational, any nonprofit, anybody, then we're gonna likely end up with things we don't want to hear. Things that our citizens or our public wandering by doesn't want to hear. So, keep that in mind. It could get ugly. I also don't think that the town's system should be used, the sound system. I think if anyone's using the amphitheater outside of the town, it should be either their own sound system or no sound system, to not project farther than necessary, depending on what it is they're talking about. So we need to be very careful of the legal responsibilities that we have for this town, even though it's a church coming to us.
But it's a church that's been doing it for 42 years, and it's not just, that's not all that they do. So they know our sound system. They, they are residents of the town, just like Lord of the Mountains. I mean, it's fine to open it up to both of them, or
I hear you.
it's a sense of community. It's been going on for a long, long, long time.
I hear you. It's a church, it's a religion.
And, we spent lots of money for this new amphitheater. So I hear what you're saying, Kyle. I might disagree with you a little bit, but
We didn't,
thank you.
we didn't build the amphitheater for God. We built the amphitheater for Summit County.
I'd like to make one last comment. When the town of Dillon was formed, what year was that, Jim? 1912, down in what's now the bottom of the church. Okay, when the town was founded, the wives of the settlers decided that they would like to have a church, seeing that as a positive thing for the growth, development, and sustainability of the town. So they built Dillon Community Church in, what was it, 1929? 1912, I'm sorry. And they went out and found a pastor, and that was part of the original fabric of the town of Dillon. That was an integral part of what they felt they needed for the town of Dillon to be stable, sustainable, a good, healthy place to live for families. And here we are, all these years later, and the town of, Dillon Community Church is still part of the fabric of the town of Dillon. It's always been since the foundation of the town. So we need to really look at ways to make this work. And I've got a blueprint here. John has his solution. There's a precedent. Other towns are doing it. Breckenridge is allowing churches to use their facilities, and this is the policy they use to implement that.
And they're a government entity as well.
And those are government-owned facilities.
Go ahead.
So my understanding, though, is that that's a nonprofit. It's not the government.
The town of
I just-
Breckenridge hires the
I don't wanna
nonprofit Breck Create.
you tonight.
No, it is the town. They
Okay.
own.
It's the
I
town, of
just received this right before the meeting, so
The
I
ta-
haven't had a chance to even.
so the town of
read it.
Breckenridge
I can't
hires,
Talk
Oh,
either.
Wait. Hold on.
I'm trying to,
So, I just want to emphasize something that we've talked about previously. My role as the town attorney is to give you legal advice. I don't do that with any position, pro or con, with the church's use of the amphitheater. It is solely and purely legal advice. I've given that. You've been fully briefed on the legal advice, and it's now your decision what you do with it from a policy standpoint. So I'm not here to argue with anyone about use of the amphitheater. I feel like I've fulfilled my role, my duty to the town, and now it's for you to pick it up and
But-
move it forward.
But I think we can make a policy, so it's within the guidelines of the law.
so I do have a question for you, Kathleen. Our previous attorney, who was from your firm, Nick Cotton Baez, did not have an issue with this policy at all. And you seem to have an issue with, Dillon Community Church using the amphitheater.
Well-
What's the difference between your two perspectives on the issue?
I don't know that Nick knew the issue that was occurring there. I can't speak for him.
Okay.
I don't have any knowledge. This only came to my attention recently, and I was asked for a legal opinion, and I've given it. And now it's your policy determination to make. And that's
I
it.
agree. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, I think from what I'm hearing that we are going to try to come up with a policy to allow.
We need to vote on this first.
Okay, so do we go ahead and, okay, all right. So do I have well, we're not, okay, do I have a motion for consideration of resolution number 29-24, oh, no, consideration of number 30-24, series of 2024?
I'll move to consider it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes, no.
Buck?
No.
Pine? No. Christensen?
No.
Hendricks?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Memora?
No. The motion hasn't, so what do I say now? Motion doesn't pass.
So at this point in time, can we get further direction as to what you all would like to see? I'm a little bit perplexed as to, based off the previous discussion, where that discussion ended was what is before you tonight. So staff could use some direction here.
We have some new information since that point of this Breckenridge policy, John's policy, the precedence of churches in Breckenridge using public facilities all the time. So I think we need to go back to executive session and consider these blueprints of how other towns are doing it and come up with a new policy.
We're opening it up to everybody, so we're not just specifying it's one type of
We need to go back to executive session and evaluate these kind of
community.
ideas.
Well, we just, for all due respect, we just got this policy. I don't know that Kathleen's going to have any new legal advice.
Well, it would have to be in a subsequent meeting.
Well, we're just pushing the issue down the road, with all due respect.
Well, point of order, I'd like to make a motion that until we have a new solution, continue with the previous non-official policy of allowing Dillon Community Church to use the amphitheater.
I don't believe we can do that
And
without
anybody's-
being,
I'm
without-
making a motion. Does anybody second that?
I'll second it.
so you want the town to be legally viable.
I want us to continue our existing informal policy until we come up with a new policy.
So yes, you want us to be legally open.
We're not in violation. Other towns are doing the same thing.
It's been seconded, so.
Okay,
now
roll
we can
call.
have Discussion.
Oh, discussion?
So no. Now go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, discussion, go ahead.
We shouldn't be leaving ourselves open like this.
Other towns are doing the exact same thing. Read this, John's proposal. We'll come up with a policy in the next couple of weeks.
John's not an attorney, as he said,
He ran it past an attorney.
who is not our attorney,
Yeah.
not the town's attorney. No offense.
Believe me, I
It-
don't
it
want to
needs-
be the town's attorney.
It needs to go through the right channels.
And it will, but until then, we've been doing it that way for 40 years, and we've had no exposure, no lawsuits, no threatened lawsuits, no implication of lawsuits. I made my motion that we continue that informal policy until we have a new policy. It's been seconded, and it'll come up for a vote in a second after everyone comments.
I am not the town's attorney, so let's be very clear about that. Nonetheless, I am a lawyer and have been involved with lots of legal issues, litigation, et cetera, over the years. There's a very small chance that if we extend the current situation by 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, that there'll be any, legal issues that will expose the town to any sort of harm or damages.
Anybody else want to make a comment?
Roll call.
Okay, roll call.
Counselor Hendricks,
No.
Woods,
Yes.
Pine. Yes. Christensen,
Yes.
Luck,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Remora.
Yes.
So against town staff and against legal advice.
We have a chance to come up with some new policy.
Okay, moving on to review future council agendas. Does anybody want to add anything to a future council agenda?
So actually, I would like to add something onto our agenda. Our past attorney, Nick Cotton Baez, was a very proactive, solutions-oriented attorney. And unfortunately, he left for a better paying job. And I've heard from other council members concerns about the new attorney not being as proactive and as solutions-oriented. And I'm coming to share those concerns. I was kind of on the fence till I saw more situations play out. But if it's me, I'm paying my attorney to find solutions, not to throw obstacles in the way of what we want to accomplish. So I would like to put on the agenda that we review our current legal representation, and maybe we need to make a change.
She's giving us, she's trying to protect the town's
talk.
rights, but
Let's talk.
yeah. Anyway, okay. Anybody else want to add anything else to the future council agenda? Okay, town managers update.
On that, I only have a couple updates. We do have a new finance manager, Heather Pizzella. She started on Monday. She comes from, most recent local government job was with the town of Breckenridge. Pretty excited to have her. We're currently working on our sales tax numbers for April. We should have that by the end of the week, so anticipate an email coming out on that. The last thing I wanted to mention to you is pertaining to this whole referendum petition. We're anticipating that you all, as a body, are going to reconsider that ordinance at the next meeting, being June 25th, so please be here. In between now and then, I have been aware or been made aware that the developer is going to have a presentation at 10 a.m. on June 22nd. It's an open house type format with a formal presentation at Pub Ryan's. So I wanted you all to be aware of that as well. So where we are in this process is that June 25th, you're going to reconsider the ordinance, depending on whether or not you reconsider that and send it to the voters. There will be several different action items there, including setting up a special election, which that special election is going to be sometime between the months of August and October 1st. October 1st is the last day. Us, from a staff perspective, has identified October 1st because it depends on your ballot. If you want a mail-in ballot, that's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of staff time. It's going to take a lot of attorney time. It's taking a lot of time from an whole entire organization. I really want to emphasize that because it's taken a lot of time and effort to get to where we are today. So our recommendation that's going to be in front of you at the next meeting is a special election on October 1st. If you do decide to approve that level 4 PUD application. So that will be on the next meeting. So I hope you all can be here. I really hope that we have a full council because it's a big deal. That's all I have.
Nathan, when was that presentation from the poor people?
June 22nd at 10 a.m.
That's a Saturday.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is that open? That's the public, right?
I believe it's open to the public, yes.
By
So,
the way, I encourage everyone
yeah.
here to attend because I think when you understand the scope of all the phases, you'll see the workforce housing, the parking, the shops and restaurants in downtown Dillon, the things most of us want, part of the overall picture.
Yeah, so if any of you that can attend, I would highly recommend you guys all attend and learn more about the development. So with that being said, do we have any council member comments? Anybody? Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Yes, so okay, I make a motion to adjourn at 8:03.